Now back to that historic ruling out of Washington.
The U.S. Supreme Court upholding the health care reform law.
It's no surprise that opinions of today's rulings is split down party lines.
That ruling, as Democrats were cheering, Republicans renewing their push to repeal the law in Congress.
Political reporter Rick Albin spoke with some West Michigan lawmakers and joins us now with more on that.
Yeah, this is obviously a big ruling. It is probably going to be the biggest Supreme Court ruling of a generation or more. Congressman Bill Huizenga from Zeeland, like most of his Republican colleagues, has opposed the health care reform from the beginning. He told me just a short time ago that he found it a bit of an irony in the high court ruling that upheld the bill based in part on the ability of Congress to levy a tax, something he says the Obama administration had steadfastly denied the law did, that is, raise taxes. I asked him for his first reaction to the ruling, and we also heard from a party to the Supreme Court filing, Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette.
Yeah, disappointing, obviously. What this ruling does say is Congress has the legal ability to go and implement this tax, which ironically the Obama administration vehemently opposed it being called a tax, but the Supreme Court has said it is a tax. And now the question is should this tax be put on the American people and on American businesses? And should we have the federal government in between you and I and everybody else in between us and our health care providers when it comes to all those health decisions? So
I am deeply disappointed by today's ruling by the United States Supreme Court, and I'm extremely concerned as well about the impact of the court's decision on personal liberties and basic constitutional rights of all Americans. Today, the United States Supreme Court signed into law the largest single tax increase in American history.
It's going to take a while to kind of hash out exactly what this means for each individual person, but this is definitely going to have an effect on the presidential race. So what happens there?
It will, particularly short term. On one hand, President Obama gets a big boost because for those people who supported his health care reform and support the president, this is a win. There's no way that you can't consider this a win from President Obama. However, it will also do something that Mitt Romney hasn't been able to do as well as he would have liked to, and that is solidify the base on the Republican side, because many of those people further to the right in the Republican Party are fundamentally opposed to this health care reform. So it probably gets them on board. Does it really change the way people are going to vote? People who were against health care were likely not going to vote for the president anyway. People who were in favor of health care were going to vote for the president anyway. So I don't know if it changes there. It does change the narrative a little bit. We already know what Republicans are going to say. You just heard it. This is the largest single tax increase in the history of the country. It's now going to go from being a health care law to being the largest tax increase in the history of the country. That's what Republicans will say. What the president is going to say is, look, we did the right thing. The court said this was legal, and this is what we promised to do 4 years ago. We did it, and now we will have this implemented over the next 2 years. But there is one thing to keep in mind. As important as this is, we talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about same-sex marriage, and everybody said, oh, it's an important issue in the presidential campaign. It is important. This is certainly a very big issue, but the number one issue in this campaign will remain the economy and jobs. So while this is important today, 4.5 months from today, people are going to be making their decision, I believe, based more about the economy and who they think is best to control that economy going forward, more than just this single item. It's not unimportant, but it will not be the issue of the campaign.
It's certainly going to make the campaign even more interesting.
Oh, it certainly will that.